All right, guys. Good evening. It's Jeff. Back again. Sat inside because of the lovely British summer. Where of course, it's pissing down with rain. So it's been a week or two now since I've made a video of any kind. I just maybe haven't felt anything that's inspired me to talk about at all. But I'm going to talk about something just because of something I listened to a bit earlier today, and it's not something I want to critique. It's something I actually wholeheartedly agree with, and it perhaps give me the motivation to talk about something a bit. And I want to talk a bit today about atheism. First of all, why I'm an atheist and what is atheism, because it's kind of, I suppose, become a bit of a shock to me what kind of misconceptions there are out there about this. So a little bit of a background. So just go through this quickly because I've made other videos about this actually. But bit of my background. I actually, went to at primary school level anyway. I went to a C of E school. We had to do the daily prayers and whatever. I'd say quite a young age. Certainly developed quite a mistrust of sort of organised religions that I'd been exposed to, like Christianity and so on. Probably did at some point develop a bit of an unhealthy hatred towards organised religion, which I think wasn't really the right thing to have done. But so I didn't. I would say it's the first time I came to atheism. I didn't necessarily approach it in the most logical way possible. Little bit more recently, for a while there, I got into sort of paganism, and in particular Norse paganism, and sort of experienced some things with that and so on. Mainly a lot of that was down to the relationship I was in until earlier this year with the girl I was with, and because she was very much into all that and so on. But but since the breakup and whatever, I've come back to atheism. But I think I've come back to it this time not out of a dislike or disdain for religion, but more because maybe I just started, sort of reading some stuff and educating myself a little bit on stuff. Finding good decent videos to watch on YouTube. I know there's a lot of crap out there on YouTube. You might think that about my own videos actually, but who knows? But just trying to educate myself a bit about certain stuff, and I think kind of had to start being questioning, skeptical of what my own beliefs were, and I came to the conclusion that I was an atheist. So the reason I'm actually kind of making this video though is based on something I listened to earlier today, and I listened to a podcast called Thinking Atheist, and I've been listening to it now for 2 or 3 months, I suppose, or since I started listening to it. It's hosted by a guy called Seth Andrews, who's actually a former Christian broadcaster in the United States on time, and then became an atheist, and now does this podcast. It's a very good listen. I thoroughly recommend it to anyone who hasn't listened to it yet. I think it's very good. And he just did a sort of episode yesterday a bit about what do atheists believe. It's because there are some misconceptions out there, and I'm not going to go and dissect the entire episode of this, but I would suggest, I think it's up on YouTube or whatever. Yeah, definitely check it out. Okay, so that's kind of why I'm making this video. So I've said a bit about why I've become an atheist, and I guess now I want to just kind of, in a sense, try and just maybe clarify a bit for people who may not understand what an atheist actually is. And it's very simple. An atheist is someone who does not believe in the existence of a God. Okay? That's it. That is it. We do not believe in the existence of a God. Now, that is the basic. If to put it into a very short sentence, that is pretty much it. Now, I want to just clarify one little thing here as well. Okay, And this is because I've got a lot of friends who might identify themselves as they tend to identify themselves as agnostic. Now, I think we do get a bit het up on labels and so on at one time. I do want to kind of clear up in the difference between an agnostic and atheist position. Now, a lot of my people I say who would describe themselves as agnostics will say, well, I don't believe there is a God, but I suppose if it was proven to me there was, then I'd have to accept that there is a God. Well, that is actually an atheist position. Actually, it's not really an agnostic position. An agnostic position is more along the lines of, well, we can't really tell one way or the other, or it's beyond our understanding, we can't tell. That's more of an agnostic position. I mean, my position as an atheist, to me, is that the way I believe it, we've come to believe this way, is I don't believe on the evidence that I have seen or the evidence that is available to us in the existence of a God. That is, however, if it was proven to me that a God existed, then I would have to accept that. If it was proven beyond all reasonable doubt, and it was so yeah, then of course I'd accept it. And I think, now whether I would worship said God, if that was the case, that could be another topic for another video, I think, because that's a whole minefield in itself, particularly if it's the God, of the Christian Bible and so on, which is one I'm perhaps most familiar with. So that could be a topic for another video at some point down the line. But I suppose the reason I'm trying to clarify this a bit is that I've been quite shocked, actually, that I've sort of discovering that, although perhaps being in the UK, I know there's perhaps not so much of a stigma to atheism as there might be in the United States and so on, which is a bit more of a religious country on the whole than the UK, which is kind of ironic because the US is the secular nation, and great, Britain is got church and state. So it's a bit of an irony in that, I suppose. But hey, I would love to see a divorcing of church and state in the UK, believe me. But there seems to be a lot of talk, and I've heard this from some religious people, not all religious people, but some, I have heard this sort of, when you talk about atheism, they say, well, that's an atheist worldview. This is what atheists. This is, basically, it's they think it's almost like there's a kind of whole theology and worldview in a sense to being an atheist. Now, other than that opening sort of statement I made about does not believe in the existence of a God, that is it. That is the entire atheist worldview. Now, the reason I'm saying this is that it does seem to be that there's a misconception that we all seem to think the same way, and we do, the same thing. We were all politically in the same way, whatever that might be. Absolutely not true. No, absolutely not true at all. You've got atheists who are conservatives, who are right wingers, or whatever. You got lefties like me who are atheists, sort of liberals and people perhaps aren't interested in politics or anything at all who would identify as atheists. I said some atheists have come to their position on their belief in or lack of belief, whatever it would say, in the existence of a God, through very different ways. And I said I think I came to it twice now, and kind of came to it each time for very different reasons. The first time was a bit of a backlash that I had against organised religion the first time round, and I don't necessarily know that was the right way. The second time, after I kind of went through the whole paganism thing or whatever, I guess far more logical and rational reasons, I believe that I've come to it for the second time. So that's just really, a kind of point I just wanted to kind of clear up in a sense. So, really, yes, there's a whole, different, there's a lot of different people who would identify as atheists with very different views very different outlooks on the world, and we don't all agree with one another. You know, Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens are not our spiritual kings. Anyone who might know a bit about me knows I have some disagreements with, certainly had some disagreements with the late Christopher Hitchens on one or two political positions that he might have taken in his lifetime. Towards the end and so on. But again, I won't go into that. It's abstract from this video anyway. But it is just sort of things like that. I think people need to be aware of. I think there are very different. There's a whole wide spectrum, and to me personally, I say that it's I feel I probably feel a lot more comfortable in myself now than I did believing in any I did when I was perhaps a pagan and whatever, because I had I've just had to put some rationale on that to what I was really believing in and what I thought was happening with me and and so on, to put that into perspective, and it's been great for me. It really has. I feel much more liberated in a sense now. I mean, I think I think I think logic and doubt and so on, skepticism can be very, very healthy for people. I mean, skepticism can sometimes, I say, possibly if you get too skeptical about certain things, you can it can work the other way, but so yeah, I guess that was all I really wanted to sort of say about this, really. And it was just to kind of clarify out, why I'm an atheist and what an atheist actually is. And there's plenty of very good YouTubers out there as well who are atheists who can sort of talk about this stuff a lot better than I can. There's so but that's just my 2 cents in on this, for what it was worth. Okay, well, I'm gonna see you guys later. All right, salute.